Hi everyone, today I want to show you some guitar rig tricks, and as you might know, guitar rig is one of my favorite effects. We don't have to use it for a guitar at all. We can use it for everything, and I use it for lots and lots of stuff. I even have it on my master in a lot of cases. Recently, Native Instruments was smart enough to break the old Guitar Rig 5, which broke all my projects. Thank you, Native Instruments. And to reward them, I bought a new version. Stupid me. But that's the version we're going to look at today. To do that, I have this song, which I've been working on for about 1,000,000 years. It has an intro here, some build, then it has this is some orchestral build. Very pretty. Then it goes into this drop. And then this drop goes into the build, and that's what I want to look at today. So we have a bass here, and some vocals, and this, whatever this is. That's some broken contact patch. That's great. So let's go with guitar, and there's really too much to show with this, but I'm gonna do a couple of videos on this. Maybe I should do a course on this. There's so much to talk about. I don't know why oh yeah, I saved the default recently. Let's clear out all of this stuff and go back to basics. One thing I would recommend with Guitar Rig, they assume that you're just gonna plug a guitar into it. And because of this, by default, it's set to mono and the gate is on to gate the noise coming from your guitar. I would recommend setting that to stereo, setting the gate off, and also going into the preferences. And here, there's this setting is on by default. I would switch that off so it loads the modules in stereo by default, and then you say save as default. All right. Now, the first tool I want to show you is so you can see here, if you've never looked at it before, we have the presets here with a bunch of mostly guitar focused presets. I don't use them at all usually. And then we have here we have the components. One of the components that I use a lot is the split mix. This allows you to put some effects between A and B and some between B and this lower module. Just to give you a demonstration of that, if I load the pitch pedal here, and let's say I load a grain delay here, then if I'm all the way on the left, I should hear my pitch pedal. Oh yeah, of course I need to set this knob here. So now when it's set to A, we hear this pitch pedal, which is an octave lower. On the right, we hear this grain delay. And this you can use very effectively to create build-ups. So one thing that you can do is, in my case, I will put both of them in this B section, so that on A, the sound will be the original version, and on B, it will be a more intense version. Now, most of these modules, they have this little weird-looking button on the right, which takes you to the parameters. Sorry, by the way, I'm a little bit sick, so if my voice sounds a little bit different, it might be that. And I might be sniffing a little bit too much. I'll try to avoid that. But right now, what I did is I raised the minimum detuning from default is -12, which is an octave down. I set it to +12, so that if this pitch knob is all the way up, the sound will be transposed an octave. And then this grain delay is a delay that actually samples the sound, and then we can pitch up the delayed version, giving that very granular kind of sound. Then we have the size of each grain and the number of grains. So you can hear, you can create pretty mad effects with that. Now, if I go into automation mode, changing from read to ledge, and I change this button here, we can see it showing up. And now, towards the end of this section here, I can just raise that control. Let's give it a curve for good measure. And then if I play this section, it should start to transpose the sound at the end, giving that little bit extra tension. And of course, you can take that further. So you can take let's go to distortion, for example, and add a Mulholland drive. Beautiful effect. Let's lower the drive a little bit and the gate, and let's set the mix up. Let's see what that sounds like. A little bit more drive, a little bit more mix. Yeah, I really like that. Now, let's see, what else do we have? We have here, so let's go over the categories a little bit. We have our main amplifiers here. This one I really like, Ramfire, based on Rammstein, as you can see from the font. We have the cabinets here. We can do some advanced stuff with it. I won't go into it today. We have our delays. These are fairly basic. Some of them sound good. Distortion, we have a lot of them. Dynamics, I pretty much never use. I'll use different stuff for compressors. I mainly use this for mangling the sound. So the EQ and the compressors, I tend to skip a little bit. The driver you might have seen before. This is also something that you find in Reactor. Very beautiful sounding distortion / filter. Then we have the legacy stuff. Now the modifiers here are interesting because these allow us to go even further with our sound processing. One thing that's interesting is that we have an input level here, so we can actually send a sidechain into Guitar Rig, listen to that, and based on that modulate other parameters. Of course, a more easier thing to do is using an LFO. One thing we could do for this sound is we can try and see what happens if we modulate the size with an LFO. Now, if you open up the depth here, we can change the depth of that modulation. And here, of course, we can change the rate a little bit. Let's see what that sounds. Let's listen to that a little bit more. I'll let the mix go up a little bit more. I'll solo the bass. By the way, whenever I have a new section, this is more of a mixing thing, but when there's a new section, I tend to throw it in a bus. So I send all of these things that are responsible for the build to this build aux so that I can process all of that at the same time. This gives you a lot of control, especially when a section needs to perform a certain function. And in this case, this section is designed to add more tension, to give a little bit of a break from the previous one, add more tension, and then lead towards this next section. So whenever that happens, I tend to use a bus to control everything easily. That's the same is true here for this orchestral build that we had at the beginning. This is also all in a group so that I can process the whole build within one bus and make it go up a little bit and add some automations on a bus level. Just as a side. So let's see, let's go here. And what were we doing? Oh yeah, we want to see what this sounds like if we modulate the size here. So that creates that madness there. We can try to decrease this a little bit. It's quite extreme. And speed this up a little bit. I really like that. I really like that. Let's make it very subtle, very subtle. Let's lower the mix again and enable our distortion. Now, let's go further. We have modulation here with some phasers and tremolos and stuff like that. I like this tremolo. What we can do is also add this to our split mix, and then we can increase the rate and the intensity as we go along. I'll start the rate rather low. I click on my bus here, I go into automation mode, I add the intensity parameter and the rate. And then at the last section here of my build, I want to find those parameters. Yeah, so these are all the old the old parameters that were messed up. Hey, where's our rate? Oh, tremolo rate is here. Okay, let's do that. So there you start hearing the tremolo. This distortion is a little bit extreme, I know, but if we do something like this and we find our tremolo, let's remove some of these unused parameters. This is highly confusing. This one, everything we're not really using. This I always like when you really like speed up the tremolo effect, give it like the full width, and then at the last section you take it down a little bit. Maybe even more. This creates that very dramatic kind of right? It creates a pretty strong transition sound there. So the last thing I'll leave you with, like I said, there's way too much to talk about here. This ring mod is amazing, for example, as well. But the last thing I'll leave you with is, I mentioned that we can use all of this stuff for mixing as well. Let's go to a different section here. Let's actually go to our build, or orchestral build. We throw on a guitar rig there. Guitar rig 7. And one thing you shouldn't sleep on is this split MS, because with this one what we can do is we can process the sides and the mids separately, and as we know, when we do that we get increased stereo width. So let's, just for practice, I'll go here to my imaging and I will go what is that thing called, direction mixer. I'll just set this to 0. So now we have a mono sound, and what we can do is, let's say on the sides we throw a reverb. Octaverb is a beautiful one. Right, and then we throw maybe a delay or a different, let's try a different type of reverb on the mid. And let's throw a chorus. I shouldn't have done this direction mixer thing, because then we have only one input signal. But we can, let's see, this. Let's go with the ensemble maybe. Oh, this I like. And now you can hear that with this slider, you can create a lot of different kind of stereo width positions. You can hear it becoming more narrow and more wide. In a very beautiful way, and you don't have to use this one for it. You can actually also use the regular split mix, because with this one you can set the we have a panning, so we can set a panning to the left and to the right, meaning that everything that you throw on between A and B will be panned to the left, and everything between B and this bottom module to the right. So this allows you to take two different reverbs. You can make them similar lengths, but give them, actually, let's not take that one. Let's take this one. So now we have the ice verb on the left. You can hear it shimmer out. And then on the right, we have this one. So just to compare, this is the original. And this is with two different reverbs on the left and the right. And now if you want to have more control over that whole thing, you would throw the whole thing in a split mix again, which you can do. You just add another one, you take this and you drag them into there. So now you have your, on the right, you have your whole dry section. This is basically the original, but if we go more towards A, we get all of this stuff. So now we can mix or split mix once again for extra control. Right, so those are some of the things I wanted to show you today. There's much more to it. I hope this was not too chaotic. I know it's a little bit of an ad hoc style tutorial rather than going through stuff, but sometimes life is like that, I guess. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in a next video.